The battle to win your right to vote. 1870 to 2008. I was just looking at this article in Jet Magazine. Great. While I was listening to the Democratic Convention and Barack Obama's speech in 2004, where he announced that he had this funny African name, and it just got me thinking. I also have a funny African name, Dieprie, and what knowing your history means. For me, growing up, and I had to totally agree with Barack Obama, which is why I'm making this video, knowing that history, knowing that my history is greater than how the world around me presented it to me, i.e. that we're somehow descendants of slaves, magically liberated ourselves, and then voila, everything is equal and okay, knowing full well that even after slavery, even after James Crow, as late as 2005, was it? The 2006 that George Bush had to sign into action again, the 1965 Voting Rights Act. I mean, come on. That's how race relations are in this nation. The fact that Barack Obama is the first black president, even though his mama, the reason why he can be even eligible to be president, is white. He's not a mixed heritage president, and I think in the future he will be he will be a president of he will be a person of mixed heritage. But in this day America, this is very telling of who we are and how we are, that he is a black president. And I accept him as such because there's something very African about this idea that there's something he says in his speech that a inhumanity, a disgrace to one of us, dehumanizing one of us is dehumanizing to all of us. That is very African at its core. And I think in the European ethos that comes to fruition through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's articulated in that way, so I find it very interesting that a person of both African, and not just slave, but purely an African who came willingly to these shores, with an American woman who then came together and chose her own destiny and even ventured further out. How telling of that story is it that we should now have the greatest political mind of this era lead us, and not only lead us in a way that Martin Luther King did through the most revolutionary movement the nation has ever seen, to defy injustice through love of ourselves and the other. And what Martin Luther King said, the dream, that white boys and black girls and black whatever, that children of different races can get together and hold hands. Well, those children grew up and had a kid, and that you have this funny African name, that your parents can believe that you don't have to be named Jill or Jane just so you can fit in, because after all we do have to accept that we live in a racist world, or it just makes things easier if you have Bob on your name. Well, actually, it makes you have a critical mind if you can say to yourself, I have a history that is quite to the point of the birth of humanity. In fact, I mean, if you look at East Africa, where Barack Obama's ancestors come from, you find the cradle of humanity. If you look at West Africa, where my family comes from, you find the cradle of African languages, the oldest languages on the planet. That which allowed us to communicate. That which decisively makes us stewards, not masters, but stewards of this planet. And that we have to respect it. And that we have to live in harmony with it and balance with it. And that we can do that through communicating with each other, with ourselves, first of all, with the world around us, and communicating with our planet, I would say. This is all African. Now, to inscribe that, I think that in this case it finds a European epistemology. So, how fitting, again, that you have this merger, these two cultures that come together. I find it to be awesome. I find it to be awesome. And it isn't that Barack Obama does this himself. The responsibility is ours. All of ours. And I go back to this African name because I know people who make all kinds of decisions about their children's names. And so that Our parents believe that this child should have this name, should be reminded, even if others are to laugh at him, every day that you can stand and say, this is my history, and I'm proud of it. And because I'm proud of it, I can celebrate yours too. My family will not give up talking about this. This has changed everything. It's Barack Obama. But this is my point, and this is why I feel that we almost sense the symbolism, and what's just started. Just wait till January 20th. But I believe that world leaders are going to start picking on him now. Push you know who, you know what aside, and say, come on, Barack Hussein Obama, come to the table. Because he knows what dialogue is. It's not just that an Angela Merkel from Germany, or I'm trying to think of what other world leaders would be on his level. Manmohan Singh from India, because you got a lot of dummies out there as political leaders. I don't want to say nothing about France. But there are places like, yeah, take France. You know, they said it, those people in the banlieue, if you have an Arabic name and or an African name and you apply for a job, some places it just goes right into the garbage can and smile in your face. You come for the interview and then just throw it in the garbage can. And for people to dare to do that and say, no, son, you stand up, that, I think, rings. It resonates strongly with the American people in this day and age. I'm happy it does, and it definitely resonates with me. And people are so scared that it's going to be some kind of black chauvinism. No. We know that what white people did to us is wrong. It doesn't make us want to repeat it. That's the point. And we will say, be who you are. Be fiercely who you are. And stand up for who you are. And standing up for who you are stands up for who we are. I am you, and you are me. We are one. I am because you are because I am. And that you is plural. And that's the kind of society that we can build. That's the start of the building block. We can work out the details of us being stewards of this world, and us being living in a nation where everybody is okay. Not just some excel and many fail. Many just subside. Many just are at survival basis. No, we actually are capable of much more, and that's African. Whether you want to call it socialist, because if you look at it in traditional African cultures, that there is a more of a collapsing of social hierarchy, I would say. And I would challenge many people on this, and I know that some of the modern day genocides would perhaps indicate differently, but look into what I'm saying. Black Africa, very socialist, if that's what you want to call it. Chiefdoms, even I'm a chief. Not a chief, sorry. Even I have chief lineage. But it doesn't make me wealthier or worth more than anybody else. And it doesn't mean that I don't have to earn my respect. But what it does mean is that I also have to respect you. And that there are checks and balances so that we don't get greedy. I love this America. And I love this Barack Obama. Peace out.